Okay, to answer the question about like the pick direction stuff. So a big part of these things here is to make sure we develop really strong picking hand control. So always putting the pick like where we want it to go. Um, so that's why we're locked into if it's a down beat, we pick down. If it's an upbeat, we pick up. And when it comes to your own stuff, when you're soloing, riffing around, does it matter what direction you pick? No, it doesn't matter at all. As long as it sounds correct, sounds good to you. But, you know, we're trying to make sure that we get your technique as solid and dialed in as possible. So that's why we're going for that sort of thing. So, because if I just say, pick it however you want, and, there you go, well, that makes it harder to fix any issues that might come up. You already have what seems like a strong alternate picking game. So let's keep developing it that way. So basically, it's just a smooth motion the whole time, not doing any pause type stuff where you pause and then you wait for like the next beat and do an upstroke, even if it's a down beat. So we're not going to do that right now. When it comes to triplets, that'll change things a bit because an uneven amount of pick strokes happening per beat will mean you just got unorthodox stuff that creeps up there. When we get to legato, that's also not important because it's all about fretting hand rhythm. And so if you do like two downstrokes in a row, two upstrokes in a row, when you have legato heavy stuff, it's not a big deal. But for the picking, yes, we went down on the downbeat, up on the upbeat. And definitely here we got the more syncopated stuff. So we did this group of rhythms with the chords. We're going to do it again here with the single note stuff. And the top line shows the downbeats and upbeats using the tied eighth notes. And then we do the same rhythm sequence once again for the second half using quarter notes instead of the tied eighth notes. This way you get experience seeing both. But the only time it's going to be completely the same is here and here because, well, we're going across the bar line, so we have to use the tied eighth note there. Notes. So, yeah, this is going to be also in the new key. We're going to be working in the key of G major or key of E minor while you get that stuff memorized. So, yeah, you got all that up and down stuff for the key of C or the key of A minor done, which is fantastic. So, we're going to move into a new key now. And yeah, so basically, without the rhythm, always a good idea to learn what the notes are without the rhythm first. Just this way you're just easing into all of it. So yeah, just the notes, no rhythm stuff. This is what we have. So basically, like working with this that note pattern there, or finger pattern of like the first, third, and fourth fingers. So we're going 5, 7, 8 right up, and then back down to the 5, and then right back up. And then we do the same thing starting on the 7th fret. Again. And then we do descending. So now we got the whole step pattern here. So we straight down, back up to the 12, and back down to the 8. So again, that is. And then 10, 8, and 7, same idea. One more time. I'm going to resolve it to that 9th fret there, that E note. So all the way through, not doing the rhythm yet, still. Okay, let's apply the rhythm. And remember, break it down into as many small pieces as you need. So if you need to work on 1 or 2 bars at a time, that's fine. Maybe just work on the first half by itself, second half by itself, and then put it all together. If you're feeling confident, comfortable enough with it, you can just go straight into the whole thing. But yeah, always break it down into smaller pieces when needed. And how do you know you need to? It's a humongous pain in the ass. That's when you know you need to break it down into smaller pieces. If it's like a huge struggle for several minutes in a row, yeah, break it down. Break it down. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 4. 1 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 and 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 4. 1 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 and 2, 3, 4 and okay. 120. 1, 2, 3, 4. $180. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the next thing to do for memorization stuff. So you had all the individual shapes in the key of C. Change it to the key of G now. So, like for a video demonstration, like you can, it doesn't have to be like solid the whole way, but basically, when you play each shape, it's got to be done well. Like if you make a mistake in the shape you're trying to play, so let's say, I don't want to give too much away. Well, let's say we're in the key of C and like you're working on it. You hit a wrong notes, try and you got to fix that. And just basically you need a clean take for each shape. So you get the first shape down, and then you go to demonstrate the second shape. Well, maybe you hit the wrong note. Well, just try that shape again until you got that one correct. And then try the next shape until you got that correct. So basically, I want you to take all those scale shapes or mode shapes and take them from the key of C, move them to the key of G. So basically, C Ionian, you started in the key of C. So the key of G would be G Ionian. So I'll, use the first one just so you have an example of how that's going to go. Yeah, so you take the same shape. You probably already know this, but just in case, or maybe it's a good review again. So you take that shape. All right, don't hit the open string like I just did. And then move it down to G and do the exact same pattern. So just remember what the key of G consists of. So it's got that one sharp, which you correctly did in all the note naming stuff for the major scale. And so the scale or mode shape that starts up on the 12th fret here, you're going to do that the high octave as well as the open position. So if you got any questions what the hell I'm talking about, please let me know. I hope that made sense. Basically, figure out how to move all the key of C shapes into the key of G. Same modes, just starting in different frets. So for the chord stuff, there's some things to fix. Well, the biggest thing that stands out is none of the chords were labeled. So if you don't know how, hold up. Let me change this so everything is shown. Okay. All right, so yeah, so none of the chords are labeled. So hit the letter A on the keyboard to bring that up. Now, personally, I strongly prefer to have display diagram turned off. This way you do not have a bunch of crap all up here. The other thing, so I'm going to clean up a little bit like for the key, for this first key here. So like, yeah, that is one way of playing the C major chord. However, the more typical way is going to be with the open E. In fact, I would imagine that would be easier to do versus trying not to hit that one. And then you hit the letter A, and you can verify, like, yep, that's the C major chord. Think about what the chord's going to be first, and see if it pops up the same way that you had intended. So yeah, D minor, that's a classic, the classic way of doing that. E minor, leaving out the top two strings, I would say makes that more difficult to play, and it's also more common to play it with those top two strings, so you want to put that in. E minor. Now for the F major here, totally fine way of doing it. If you can, practice it with the full bar. If you can't, then the way that you had it is totally fine. But try using the full bar when possible. It's a much more full sound. The G chord here. So again, putting in like all 6 strings is the more common thing to do. So there's 2 ways that are popular. You can do it with the open B, or the way I like to do it, with the D note on the B string instead. Put that label in there. A minor chord, once again, like the C chord, put in that high E string. It's a much more common way of doing it, and I would say it's easier to do because you're not trying to mute anything out. And yeah, perfect on the B diminished. Yes, that's exactly what we want right there. And yes, the B diminished chord, the diminished chord, just using the 4 strings, just like that. So I want you to go through the rest of these, input the chords, the chord names, and fill out the rest. So like a G chord, have that kind of version right there. The A minor chord, use that. C major, use that. Because it's the more standard way of doing it. Like this chord right here, use the full 6 string bar chord. The A major chord right here, yeah, that's usually how I would end up doing it. I'd bar those 3 strings right there, but you do have the option of using the open A string as well. Gotta finger it differently though. The B minor chord, typically I like putting the full bar in there as well. So, a 5 string bar chord. This is a nice convenient one just for moving it around. So yeah, if you can, get like the E major here, like should have the high E and the B string included. Like those should be part of it. This F sharp minor chord, you should have the 2 and 2 on the B and high E string as well. So basically, I want you to go through, fill out the chords to be as big as they can be, because that's the more standard way of doing it, and fill in all the chord names. Now, there's going to be at least one chord. I can't remember which one it is. Something like, something like E sharp diminished. Like Guitar Pro is not going to put E sharp diminished. It's just going to put F diminished. But if like how it goes in key, so we got to pay attention to that too, because Guitar Pro won't always put exactly what we want when it comes to obscure chord names, which we will definitely get into eventually. But yeah, just like when you have these keys with like a ton of sharps or flats, it'll default to like the natural root note. Like so instead of the weirdo E sharp, it'll just call it an F. But in the context of the key, it would need to be F sharp diminished, or not F sharp, E sharp diminished instead of F diminished. So I hope that makes sense. So yeah, obviously the picking thing with all the different rhythms, work that up like usual. Start moving the scale or mode shapes into the key of G, and input the chords for all that, and fill out as many chords as you can. If it's a standard like 4-string chord like the D minor, well then you're already done. But if it usually has like 6 strings or 5 strings, we want to put those in as well. And I think that does it. Any questions, let me know, and I'll see you again in your new videos.